My beloved children, I see you right now, exactly where you are. Some of you are sitting alone in a quiet room as night settles in. Some are listening while the city hums around you, lights flickering through a window. Some are tired from the weight of the day, others restless with thoughts that won't sleep. I am walking beside you in this very moment, watching your breath rise and fall, seeing the way your heart tightens when you think of power, of control, of being strong in a world that often feels harsh. Before we continue, tell me in the comments where you are listening from and what time it is where you are. Let your presence be known, for you are not invisible here. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's gently ease into tonight's teachings journey together. You have been taught again and again that strength looks loud, that power must announce itself, that the one who speaks last, speaks hardest, or stands tallest is the one who wins. You have watched this lesson play out in your homes, in your workplaces, in your nations. You have felt it in your relationships, where raising your voice seemed easier than lowering your heart. And yet, within you, there has always been a quiet discomfort, a small voice whispering that something about this idea of power feels incomplete. A gentle heart does not arrive with noise. It does not force its way into rooms. It enters quietly and changes the atmosphere without asking permission. Gentleness is not weakness pretending to be kindness. It is strength that has learned restraint. It is power that has learned mercy. When a storm comes, the thunder shouts, the lightning tears the sky. But it is the steady ground beneath your feet that truly holds you. A gentle heart is like that ground. It absorbs impact. It does not collapse under pressure. It does not need to prove itself because it already knows who it is. Many of you have been wounded by those who mistook dominance for authority. You were spoken over, dismissed, controlled, or frightened by people who believed that power meant taking, not protecting. And in response, you promised yourself you would never be small again. You hardened your voice. You sharpened your words. You learned how to strike first so you would not be struck. I understand this instinct. Survival teaches fast lessons. But hear me gently now. Hardness may keep you standing, but it will never let you rest. A gentle heart rests even while it stands. Gentleness does not mean allowing harm. It does not mean staying silent in the face of injustice. It means choosing clarity over cruelty. It means setting boundaries without hatred. It means speaking truth without the need to crush another soul to make your point. Power seeks to control outcomes. Gentleness seeks to transform hearts. When you try to force change, you create resistance. When you offer gentleness, you invite reflection. Think of how the sun melts ice without striking it, how warmth does what force cannot. So it is with a gentle heart. It softens places that shouting never reaches. You have seen this before, though you may not have named it. A mother calming a frightened child with nothing but her presence. A friend listening without interrupting, without fixing, without judging. A quiet apology that heals more than 1,000 explanations. These moments carry a strength that authority cannot command. The world tells you that to be respected, you must be feared. I tell you that lasting respect is born from trust. And trust grows only where gentleness lives. A gentle heart listens longer than it speaks. It watches before it reacts. It asks before it assumes. It understands that every person carries battles you cannot see, wounds you did not cause, fears you did not plant. Gentleness does not excuse wrong, but it refuses to dehumanize the one who is wrong. This is why a gentle heart is stronger than power. Power can silence mouths. Gentleness can open souls. Consider how easily power is threatened. It trembles at challenge. It grows defensive when questioned. It must constantly reinforce itself, demanding loyalty, obedience, proof. Gentleness, however, does not fear being questioned. It welcomes dialogue. It is secure enough to say, I may be wrong, and strong enough to say, I will not harm you to be right. Some of you are afraid that if you become gentle, you will be overlooked, stepped on, forgotten. You fear that kindness will make you vulnerable, that mercy will be exploited. These fears come from a world that confuses gentleness with submission. But gentleness submits only to love and truth, never to abuse. A gentle heart knows when to walk away. It knows when silence is wiser than argument. It knows when firmness must replace softness, not out of anger, but out of responsibility. Gentleness is not the absence of strength. It is strength guided by wisdom. Look at your own life. Notice the moments when you felt most at peace. Were they moments of conquest or moments of connection? Did your heart feel lighter after winning an argument or after being understood? Did you feel fulfilled when you proved someone wrong or when you chose compassion despite being right? There is a quiet courage in choosing gentleness in a world addicted to outrage. It takes strength to pause instead of react. It takes discipline to respond with patience when insulted. It takes deep security to offer kindness without guarantee of return. Power demands immediate results. Gentleness is patient with process. Power measures success by visible outcomes. Gentleness measures success by inner transformation. This is why gentleness endures long after power fades. Empires built on force eventually crumble, but hearts changed by gentleness continue to shape generations. The words you speak softly today may echo longer than the commands you shout. you may not see the fruit of a gentleness right away. You may feel unnoticed, uncelebrated, but gentleness works in hidden places, in the slow spaces where real change happens. It plants seeds in soil that power never reaches. I am inviting you not to abandon strength, but to redefine it. To let your strength be measured by your ability to love without control, to speak without harm, to stand firm without becoming rigid. When you encounter anger, do not rush to match its volume. When you face hostility, do not mirror its sharpness. Instead, anchor yourself in gentleness, not as surrender, but as strategy, not as fear, but as faith. A gentle heart sees further because it is not blinded by rage. It hears more because it is not drowning in its own voice. It heals more because it does not need to dominate in order to exist. And there are moments, beloved ones, when gentleness will cost you. You may lose arguments. You may walk away misunderstood. You may choose peace over pride and be called weak for it. Let them speak. The quiet strength you carry will outlast their noise. Remember this: power can win a moment, but gentleness can redeem a life. And redemption is always stronger than control. There will be times when your gentle heart feels heavy, when you wonder if it is worth continuing to soften when the world keeps hardening. In those moments, return to stillness. Return to the quiet truth that love was never meant to conquer by force. It was meant to transform by presence. Stay with me here. Breathe slowly. Let these words settle not just in your thoughts, but in the spaces where you hold your fear, your anger, your longing to be safe. Let gentleness begin its work there, unseen, unannounced, yet powerful enough to reshape the way you move through this world, powerful enough to change the way you speak to those you love, powerful enough to change the way you speak to yourself, powerful enough to carry you forward, even when you feel unseen, unheard, and uncertain, because a gentle heart does not need to be loud to be real, and it does not need permission to endure, and it does not disappear when challenged, but remains steady and patient, even as the world pushes back, even as old habits resist, even as you stand at the edge of choices that will define the way your story continues to unfold. And in that moment, when you feel the tension rising again, when you feel the familiar urge to harden, to protect yourself with sharpness, remember that gentleness is not the absence of defense, but the presence of a deeper strength that does not panic, does not rush, does not strike blindly, but waits, watches, and holds its ground quietly, trusting that what is rooted in love does not need to shout to survive. And so you continue walking, step by step, breath by breath, carrying a heart that is learning, slowly, patiently, how to remain soft without breaking, how to remain kind without losing itself. How to remain strong without becoming hard. Even as the night deepens and the world outside continues its restless noise, and the path ahead narrows into choices that will soon ask more of you than you think you have to give. And still, you keep going, still listening, still holding that gentle strength as the next truth begins to form within you. Just as you begin to realize that the greatest test of gentleness is not how you treat others when they are easy to love, but how you remain when you are hurt, misunderstood, or tempted to believe that becoming cold would finally make everything easier. And in that fragile space, just before you decide who you will be next, your heart pauses, suspended between the old way of power and the quiet invitation of gentleness. And the choice lingers there, unfinished. And you feel how thin the space is between who you have been and who you are becoming. How one response can pull you back into old patterns, while another can carry you forward into a quieter, stronger way of living. And in that stillness, you begin to understand that gentleness is not something you perform for others, but something you cultivate within yourself, slowly, like a garden that does not bloom overnight, yet grows deeper roots with every season it endures. You see now that gentleness asks more of you than power ever did. Power reacts. Gentleness responds. Power demands certainty. Gentleness makes room for mystery. Power needs applause. Gentleness needs alignment. It requires you to be honest about your wounds without allowing them to rule you, to acknowledge your fear without surrendering to it, to recognize your anger without letting it define your voice. There will be moments when gentleness feels inconvenient, when it would be faster to interrupt than to listen, when it would be easier to withdraw than to stay present, when silence seems safer than truth, and truth seems riskier than comfort. In those moments, remember that gentleness does not mean avoiding discomfort. It means choosing the kind of discomfort that leads to growth rather than regret. You begin to notice how gentleness reshapes your inner world. Your thoughts slow, your judgments soften, your assumptions loosen their grip. You stop rehearsing arguments that may never happen. You stop carrying imaginary victories that only exhaust your spirit. You start paying attention to what is actually in front of you: a person, a moment, a breath. And as this happens, something unexpected unfolds. Others feel safer around you. Not because you agree with them, not because you excuse their behavior, but because your presence does not threaten their dignity. Your calm does not challenge their worth. Your boundaries do not humiliate them. You create space where honesty can breathe. This is how gentleness changes communities, not by overpowering them, but by lowering defenses. A gentle heart disarms without striking. It invites without coercing. It corrects without shaming. It understands that people rarely change when they feel cornered, but often transform when they feel seen. You may not always receive gratitude for this. Some will mistake your gentleness for permission to test your limits. This is where wisdom must walk alongside kindness. Gentleness without wisdom becomes self-erasure. Wisdom without gentleness becomes cruelty. Together, they form a strength that knows when to give and when to say no. Learn to say no softly and firmly. Learn to walk away without bitterness. Learn to protect your peace without announcing your superiority. These are not small lessons. They are the quiet disciplines that shape a life of integrity. As you continue, you will notice that gentleness also changes the way you see yourself. You become less harsh in your self-talk. You stop punishing yourself for past mistakes. You learn to correct without condemning, to grow without self-loathing. You realize that the voice you use on yourself becomes the voice you use on others. If you speak to yourself with contempt, you will eventually speak to the world the same way. If you learn to be gentle with your own learning curve, you will extend that patience outward. This is not indulgence. It is honesty paired with mercy. There's a reason your soul grows tired of constant conflict. You were not designed to live in perpetual defense. You were made for connection, for meaning, for steady purpose. Gentleness restores you to that design. It aligns your inner life with your outer actions. And when you fail at gentleness, as you sometimes will, do not turn that failure into another weapon against yourself. Begin again. Return to stillness. Return to listening. Gentleness is not a destination you arrive at once. It is a practice you return to daily. Some days you will carry it well. Other days you will drop it under pressure. Both days belong to the journey. You may wonder if gentleness has a place in a world that feels increasingly loud, divided, and unforgiving. Hear this clearly: gentleness is not outdated. It is necessary. It is the counterbalance to chaos. It is the resistance to despair. It is the quiet insistence that humanity can be preserved even when systems fail. When you choose gentleness, you refuse to let the world decide who you become. You choose your values consciously. You become anchored rather than reactive. You move from fear-based living into purpose-driven presence, and this presence carries authority of its own. Not the authority of command, but the authority of coherence. People sense when your words match your life. When your calm is not performative, but practiced. When your kindness is not strategic, but sincere. This is why a gentle heart influences more than a powerful voice. Voices fade. Presence lingers. You do not need to convince everyone. You do not need to win every debate. You do not need to prove your strength. Live it quietly. Let your consistency speak. Let your integrity settle into the spaces you touch. Over time, you will see that gentleness does not make your life smaller. It makes it deeper. Your relationships gain texture. Your work gains meaning. Your rest becomes real. You are no longer driven by the need to dominate or defend, but by the desire to understand and contribute. And when suffering comes, not because it removes pain, but because it prevents pain from turning you into someone you do not recognize. It allows you to grieve without hardening, to endure without becoming bitter, to heal without closing your heart. There will be losses you cannot explain, injustices you cannot fix, endings you did not choose. In those moments, power offers you control where there is none. Gentleness offers you companionship with yourself, patience with time, and hope that does not depend on immediate resolution. This hope is quiet, but it is resilient. Carry this with you. Strength that must announce itself is often afraid. Strength that can remain gentle has nothing to prove. Let your gentleness be intentional. Let it be disciplined. Let it be courageous. Let it be the way you speak, the way you listen, the way you disagree, the way you forgive, the way you begin again. And as you continue walking, remember that every small act of gentleness matters. Every restrained word, every patient pause, every choice to see the human before the argument. These are not wasted efforts. They are the building blocks of a life that reflects love without force. Now, let your breath slow. Let your shoulders release. Let the images soften. You are safe here. You are not required to perform. You are not late. You are not failing. A gentle heart grows quietly. Rest now in this truth. Carry it with you when you rise. Speak it when words feel sharp. Return to it when the world feels heavy. May your strength be kind. May your kindness be wise. May your heart remain soft and unafraid. Amen.